We've got our first look at the new Dwarven Blacksmith armor set that will be obtainable in the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC on March the 10th, and it looks something straight out of Lord of the Rings, and I've got to be honest, I am all over this set. I think it looks like an absolute banger. Now, first of all, this is all thanks to Peder and Ibsarp, who have found this armor set in the game files, as well as a new Atgeir weapon and Ivaldi's hammer, which we'll break down in this video as well. So heads up, this is all subject to change, but to be honest with you, it all looks really solid to me. Now, the armor set itself, it's described as being forged by the greatest Dwarven smiths, able to withstand the mightiest of attacks, and that definitely seems to be the case here, because the main stat bonus you'll be picking up from this set is an increase in plus 30 armor when you stun an enemy, which actually lasts for 10 seconds, as well as the additional plus 20 speed increase for the full 5 out of 5 set bonus when you've got it all equipped. Now, I don't think that's great, to be honest, but it kind of makes sense because dwarves are known for being ironclad in armor and are natural sprinters that are very dangerous over short distances, and I hope some of you picked up that Lord of the Rings reference there. Anyway, thanks to the description in the inventory, we know where we can pick up this full set. The braces and the cloak can be found in Svaladal, whereas the breeches, helmet and armor are hidden away in Vangrin. Now, aesthetically, the more I look at this set, the more I grow fond of it, and I think it's because it's not too over the top, which is what I kind of like. The simple neutral colours of the armor itself look like they've been welded together with precision and purpose, combined with that terrific flash of red wrapped around Eivor that contrasts really well with those basic colour tones. Now, the design of the cloak is another positive for me. I think it's super simple with that faded line stitching that I think adds a little bit more flavour to the whole set, and then you go and throw in some strong beard game which sneaks underneath that fortress of a helmet, and you've got yourself a dwarven warrior ready to march on Svartalfheim. Sign me up. Now, with all that being said, I appreciate that some of you may not feel the same, but I've been looking at vampire and dragon armor sets too much recently, so this is a breath of fresh air. So top marks to the designers and developers from me here. And by the way, if you have learned anything new so far, and only if you wouldn't mind, a very quick like on this video really does help me out. And while you're actually scrolling down, I'm also running a free Dawn of the Ragnarok DLC giveaway. You just need to be a subscriber of the channel, and the link to enter is in the pinned comments. So cheers and good luck. Now let's move on and have a look at the new Atgeir weapon. It's called Thorgrim's Dying Breath, and it's said that this weapon was cursed by the dying breath of Thorgrim, who was subsequently killed by it. No further info for you about Thorgrim at present or anything that I could find, but this weapon is one of the 4 new Atgeirs that will be made available to us in-game. And stat-wise, well, perhaps it is a little underwhelming for our first preview here. Of course, that is subject to change, but at the moment, heavy crits knock enemies to the ground, which isn't fantastic. In fact, even on Nightmare mode, Peder couldn't capture this in action because everything just gets steamrolled with it. And we also already have a specific rune you can equip instead of this weapon perk, by the way. It's called the Critical Knockdown rune, so it's nothing game-changing here. The weapon also doesn't appear to shrink on your back when you've actually got it equipped, but whether that changes on the DLC launch, we're just going to have to wait and see. Additionally, I do want to run this past you. Does this look like new Atgeir combat animations to you? I don't actually run with two-handed weapons very often, so it's not entirely clear to me, but that over-the-head thrust does seem new to me. Either way, it looks like it's going to be good fun. It's the new spears, the new overpowered weapons, and I think it's going to be a great transmog option for the Dwarven armor set. Now, moving on to Ivaldi's hammer, it's called the Legacy of Ivaldi, which is described as being as blunt as its owner, but it's still excellent for bashing heads in. And if you can't remember, Ivaldi was the dwarf held prisoner by Odin in Asgard, who ended up returning to Svartalfheim. He's believed to be dead in the DLC so far, and we're just going to have to wait and see if he actually pops up in the storyline. But in the meantime, we can use his hammer, and it's going to offer us a staggering enemy perk, where once enemies are hit with a special attack, so essentially holding down that parry button when you're in combat, all enemies will be knocked back in a AoE fashion. There's a 10-second cooldown on this, which isn't too bad, but as shown here by Peder, it does take quite a while to actually get this perk to activate, and when it does, a gust of wind from the hammer knocks over enemies as described. Now, I'm not sure if it's worth going to the hassle to get this one knockdown in game with such a low percentage chance trigger, but if you enjoy hammers, like using the special ability, and appreciate the aesthetic look of this one in particular, well, I think the Legacy of Ivaldi is certainly for you. And I've got to say, I do think it does look good. It's just a slab of stone with some subtle gold mason work wrapped around the frame. In fact, if you want more gold, then Valhalla will of course provide for you, and as you can see for yourself, once it's upgraded, that stone turns to pure gold. It is as easy as that. Now let's put the Dwarven armor and weapons aside, because I've also got something else cool here to show you, and that's a full breakdown of the Fire Giant armor set thanks to Ibsarp and Peder. So if you want to know what that's all about and what they've found, make sure you click the notification bell so you can find your way back here easily, because it looks absolutely awesome and some interesting things to talk about here for sure. Anyway, big thanks to Peder and Ibsarp again for bringing us this first look, and I'll catch you in the Fire Giant set video soon if it's not already on your screen right now. Cheers for stopping by, and as usual, coffee is on me.